What's up, everybody? It's Andre Iguodala from the Golden State Warriors here. It's my pleasure, on behalf of New Amendment and the Point Forward podcast, to invite you all out on Friday, March 10th, to Beyond the Big Ten live recording taking place at Over Under Sports Bar in Lincoln Park, Chicago. That's Friday, March 10th at Over Under from 3 to 7 p.m. Look forward to catching y'all there.
We are back for another edition of Champaign Room Hoops podcast, again brought to you by the good folks at New Amendment. As part of the Beyond the Big Ten podcast network, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts, and again on YouTube at Beyond Big Ten. Also make sure to follow on all social media, Twitter, IG, and TikTok with the handle at Beyond Big Ten. Again, I am former Illini point guard Sam Maniscalco, again joined by Illini legends Brandon Paul and super duper swingman Billy Cole. Thanks for tuning in once again. Billy, Brandon, what's up with y'all this week?
What's going on, fellas? Not much. We just got back from break. We won a nice game on the road, which was cool because we really didn't have any team practices in the last 2 weeks because all the guys were at FIBA, the national teams. So we got another one this weekend and just fighting a good fight out here, man. Enjoying life.
Did you go for 40 like we told you?
I tried, man. I launched a lot of threes. I launched about 11 threes, man.
Did you?
Yeah, but it is what it is, you know. We got the
How
win.
many did you make?
Don't worry about that. I made 5.
All right.
Yeah, I got my wife's on a girls' trip this weekend, so I got the 7, 5, and 3-year-old by myself. So this is perfect. I got the babysitter. I got the babysitter over just to give me an hour to talk Illinois hoops with the crew here.
The fans should love that, man. Dedication.
Hell yeah.
Sacrifice, bro. All right, well, let's hop right into some of the X's and O's. We're going to recap Michigan game the other night, Thursday. Awesome college basketball game, double OT. Mm-hmm. You don't see those very often. You probably get a handful of those per season in all of the, NCAA. Just a great game, a great finish. Battle to the end. I mean, it looked pretty bleak there when Michigan went on that run, at the end of regulation in the first overtime. But obviously, I think some home cooking helped. The crowd helped, and obviously battled to could be a humongous win regarding, seeding for the Big Ten tournament coming up.
Yeah, it's like, where do you even start with this game, right? I mean, you got all this stuff going on beforehand. I know we're going to get into it later, but Matt Meyer misses 2 days of practice. Epps is out with what sounds like a really, really bad concussion that he, had to spend some time in the hospital, and his parents are down and everything. So we had a really shortened bench. I just think what really stuck out about this game is just how tough Coach Underwood makes his teams, right? It doesn't always look pretty. Mm-hmm. We get on this pod and we talk about all the shot selection and how, X, Y, and Z is going wrong. But at the end of the day, I just kept thinking, towards the end of that game, and then once they hit overtime, just what a tough, gritty team he puts together every year. I mean, Coleman Hawkins didn't come out of the game in a double overtime game, I don't think. We'll get into all the X's and O's, but I just thought, man, what a tough team.
Yeah, it was an impressive win. 2 good teams, 2 well-coached teams, and they just battled it out. And those are the type of college games that get talked about, for a long time because it's just those overtime games are fun. You're locked in. You're on your seats. You're on the edge of your seats. A lot of execution down the stretch, and guys came out and played hard. And I'm just gonna say it. Ty Rodgers he's became probably my favorite Illini. Just the stuff he does on the court, the stuff that he brings to the team, the energy every day. He's the definition of an everyday guy. So, that's the type of guy you want to bring in your foxhole.
How good was RJ Melendez, by the way?
That's one of the notes I have written down. Absolutely. Bill, good call. So the 2 takeaways I had from this game is Underwood, obviously. I mean, Dane only played, what did he play? He didn't play in the second. 8 minutes.
It was so weird.
And he got the first 2 touches too, which I was excited about.
I thought he was good in the first half. Something's going on there. We have to figure that out.
Yeah, it's clear he wanted to go small though, Underwood, obviously, which is weird because of
Dickinson.
Dickinson. I mean, he's such a load, but like you said, Bill, Coleman Hawkins played mostly at the 5, but my other biggest takeaway was RJ Melendez, like you said, Brandon. He made some big plays down the stretch. He didn't go off for 25 points or anything, but I thought he was so much more confident and assertive. He made a huge 3. And And that is a key, I think, for them over these next few weeks, because he's been a little bit of a quote unquote letdown this year. He struggled, really, really struggled the first half of the season. There were a couple games where he didn't even find the floor much. But if his confidence is rolling, I think that helps. I mean, it just opens up the court. It takes so much pressure off of Meyer and Terrence Shannon, to be consistent scorers.
Yeah.
And I really thought in the second half, he made some great decisions, got some great, slashes to the rim and made, like you said, Bill, he's so bouncy.
Yeah, so athletic.
It's almost like they tried to make him a shooter this year just because he can shoot. And at the end of the day, when you see his dunks and you see his slashing ability, it's like, that's not what he is.
Right.
Like he is so good in the open floor. And I thought that's one of my notes, one of my call outs is we finally forced transition. I thought that made us how many times did Terrence Shannon, even a couple times he was out of control, but still he pushed the ball down their throats. He got to the front of the rim and he put the onus on the refs to call fouls. And I love when this team runs. One of our biggest attributes that I don't think people talk about enough is our athleticism.
Totally.
Terrence Shannon looks like he looks like an NFL tight end out there. He must run like a 4-4.
Those guys are out there doing it.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I just think we're so athletic. We finally pushed the ball, and then we had another one of those games. I mean, if this goes the other way and we're not excited about a win, it's another one of those games where we just were all right, Dickinson's just going to get his, right? The whole second half, he had Coleman Hawkins on him and literally did whatever he wants. So again, we've said this basically after every tough game, but I think it's an analytical thing, right? I think the staff must be really in analytics, and they're I think that is part of the reason we have the shot selection we do on offense. It's we're going to take all twos and dunks, and if you're going to take a bad shot, it's going to be a bad three, right? Yeah. And then we're not going to double on defense. We're gonna try our hardest to front, and if he catches the ball, everyone plays straight up, and we're going to defend the three, right? So they really value taking a lot of threes on offense, and they value not giving up threes on defense. So I don't know. Those were kind of my last points about the Michigan game. It's interesting because we ended up winning it, but at the end of the day, I just feel like it could come back to bite us in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think their approach to Dickinson was a little bit more aggressive than it was to Trace Jackson Davis. Obviously, they doubled Trace Jackson a little bit. This game, I felt like they doubled a lot more. They did a better job, and they rotated pretty well. Michigan's a good team. They got some shooters, and obviously, Juwan Howard is going to find ways to punish that. But they came out with a lot of energy. And as far as RJ Melendez is concerned, I don't disagree with you, Sam, but I feel like he's got one of those shots that, obviously it's a pretty form. Doesn't mean you can shoot the ball well or not. It's a pretty form, and I think it's a lot of confidence. He's coming in, he's playing with guys, Matt Meyer, Terrence Shannon, Dane Danger, guys at Epps, guys that have been making plays all season long. And, a lot of these guys are new faces. So he's probably faced with a situation where I've been here, I'm kind of not necessarily swept under the rug, but he's not necessarily the focal point of the offense, but obviously he's been getting his confidence back in the last couple of games. This game, he came out, other than athleticism, he's doing things well on the defensive end. And he's making the right plays, and you can see that he's having a little bit more fun out there than he was before.
Yeah, Brandon, it feels like he's personally feeling a little less pressure. Mm-hmm. To your point, he was early on in the season like he was pressing so much because, like you said, he's been here before and he's been in the program, so the expectations for him were probably a little bit higher. So you can see that he was pressing to really, really try and make an impact, a noticeable impact. And a lot of times, as you guys know, as a role player on a good team, there's so many different ways to make an impact. It doesn't have to stick out in a sense. If you just do your job and limit mistakes, that has a positive impact, on the game and on the team. And I think he's fell into that a little bit better. I think some of it has to do with, which we'll talk about, Jaden Epps being out. So obviously more minutes were available. Mm-hmm. But I think he's getting more comfortable, but I think he's a key. Him and Ty Rodgers off the bench, like you guys said. Ty Rodgers, wow. I mean, he's grown up really fast.
Oh my God. This guy's playing 1 through 5 damn near. He's playing 1 through 5 player. And he's backing people down from the 3-point line and making plays. He's
strong.
His skill set has improved so much from the start of the season to now. It's very impressive to see what he's done.
in one key stat in this game, I know the numbers are a little inflated because there was 10 extra minutes and it was double overtime, but 34 free throws.
Mm-mm.
The Illini shot.
Yeah,
that shows me.
Yeah.
26 for 34, 77% from the line. That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But that just shows me that they were aggressive. They were imposing their will. The Terrence Shannon Juniors, were getting downhill and imposing their will on getting in the paint and making stuff happen. And you guys know when you start a game and throughout the course of a game, when you're the aggressor, a lot of times the whistles kind of go your way versus if you're on your heels and stuff. And I thought they did a good job of imposing their will. If they can get to the line 25, 30 times, I mean, I think that's an ingredient for success because of how athletic and physical they are.
For sure. Speaking of you saying that, I thought the refs were horrible. This is the first game. I mean, college refs are notoriously bad, right? But this was the first game.
Well, let's say this first. It's a hard job, but yeah, continue because I'm about to go
absolutely. But both coaches in the post games were like, "What the hell is going on?" Like the Coleman Hawkins goaltend, like that wasn't even close. Like he blocked that 3 inches before it hit the backboard, and they didn't even review it or anything. I don't know. I felt like maybe I'm turning it too much into a fan, but they just that was a game where you noticed the refs way too much.
Yeah, I mean the thing about go ahead, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking to myself, as much money as college basketball makes. And I think I heard this is only happening, what I'm about to say is only happening in like minor league baseball, where if they throw a pitch, says ball or a strike, and then they point and they go and look at the board and it's a live review of what happened. And they say, no, it was a ball. Okay, ball, move on. It took 3 seconds to do that, right? How do we not do this in college basketball to make the game a lot easier for everyone involved? Just simple stuff. The goaltend. Okay, we don't like this call. Look. People at the score table. No, it was clean. All right, we're going to go to the way, or it's a jump ball. Just little stuff like that. And you can't do it all the time because then you're going to be doing it all game because the refs have a hard job. They're not perfect. But at the same time, look, this is these guys' livelihoods. These guys are playing for their lives. They're playing for their jobs. And you got guys coming out here trying to make, I don't think they're trying to make it about them, but they're starting to make it about them. And it's hard to watch.
Yeah, I agree with the review. And the funny thing is, if there is ever a review, it's not like you said, Brandon, or it's 5 seconds. Like us watching at home, we're like, okay, like it's obvious. Yeah. Like you either switch the call or keep it. Like it's obvious what the correct call is. And then they have the refs have like a little meeting too. Like after they go to the scores table, they like back off onto the court and then they have a meeting.
They're like covering. They're like,
and then they go to each coach and talk to each coach and explain it to them. And they show the coaches like
it's a full
one's
ritual.
Pissed off, one's fine with it, and then the fans boo or cheer. It's like an event,
You should have 15 seconds.
12 minutes.
You should have 15 seconds to walk over and say if there's indisputable evidence to change the call.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be on the clock.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if they don't do it in time, one of the refs are gone.
No, in our game last night, they hit a shot going into halftime, and the ref raved it off, and then they reviewed it. We come back out. They still said it was no after they reviewed it. And so the refs come out and the fans boo. And I'm thinking to myself, how are you booing? They literally just watched a video of what was going on. But then I thought about it again. There's been a lot of cases where refs will go watch the video and still blow the call like they did against Texas. Like, I don't understand how that's happening too. So we got to figure something.
Yeah. So overall, just a quality win, and a quality win in the right way. Like you said, Bill, just a tough, hard-nosed, grinded out, typical Big Ten win. So let's move into some scouting report. So last game of the season upon us, tomorrow at Purdue. Interesting because everybody's jockeying for, seeding in the Big Ten like we talked about. Currently, 6, 7, or 8 teams, all 11-8, tied for second in the Big Ten. And everybody's playing this weekend. So there's a lot that could happen. I do think one interesting thing, and I haven't even seen the line yet, Bill. I don't know if you've checked, but Purdue's clinched the Big Ten regular season. So, listen, I don't want to say that they have nothing to play for. I mean, we're talking about number 1 seed in the tournament here for them, NCAA tournament, that is. So they're certainly not just going to lie down, but a situation where I think Illinois controls their own destiny. If I'm not wrong, I think if we go in and beat Purdue, I think we're locked into a double bye. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a good situation. You control your own destiny. Now, listen, Purdue's a top 5 team in the country and a very, very, very tough place to win, as you both know. So talk about mindset going into tomorrow.
So first of all, it's super weird Big Ten season, right? There's 7 teams at 11-8, which is bananas. Like I can't even fathom like mathematically how that works out. The thing that scares me a little bit about it was the kind of the running stat I've been keeping all year about our record versus the top half of the Big Ten versus the bottom half. Obviously Purdue is the pinnacle, but then again, you look at our non-conference season and I think someone's tweeted the other day, we're actually 2-0 against the net top 10 teams in the country. So this, where I do start to feel better about the game is like what you said, Sam, like, what do you have to lose? Like if you lose, you're probably supposed to lose to the top team in the country. They've already clinched. Maybe there's a little letdown on their end, or maybe like Matt Painter will come in, and maybe try and rest some guys. I don't think that's a horrible idea. So I don't know. It's very interesting. That game is the type of game in my mind that maybe changes you 2 seeds in the NCAA tournament, right? I think right now we're probably in that 8-9 game or around that range. I think, you beat Purdue and you go into the Big Ten tournament and you snag a win. All of a sudden it's like 6-7 doesn't seem too far off. And that's a huge difference. We've already basically had a whole episode talking about that difference. So I think the final thought on this, really scares me the fact that we really had like a 7-man rotation in a 49-minute game from Coleman Hawkins. Like, this is the time of year you need to be really cognizant of how much rest your best players are getting. They get worn down without even knowing it. And to have that type of game and then go straight into Purdue, this is going to be, I opened up the episode talking about how tough we are. This is gut check time here.
Yeah, I mean, you go out there, like you said, not much to lose. Team that's supposed to win on paper. For them to win this game, they have to basically kind of flip the switch. The shot selection can't be like it has been. The turnovers have to calm down a little bit. They're getting it done on the defensive end for the most part, and they just got to be consistent throughout the game. Free throws got to lock down. The last game, obviously, our free throw shooting was much better than the previous matches. But it's like you said, rest. We had 7 guys playing. We got guys out. How much effort do you put into this game? You can't just go there just to go there, just to lay an egg, because it's leading into the Big Ten tournament, right? So you want to have some good momentum going into that. But it's a winnable game. You can go there, play, and until the last 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and it's still a game. Then it's anybody's game.
Yeah, for me, this game screams flat, coming out flat because of their history. It's a early or late morning, early afternoon game on Fox. The last one of these we had, I think, was Ohio State, right? And we just completely came out flat. So, and we've done that a few times throughout the season, which we've talked about. So, to me, coming off that big Michigan win, like, it screams like Illinois is going to come out flat, So that's what my one biggest thing is. Let's put 40 minutes together. I want to see 40 minutes of competitive, playing hard, Illinois basketball, what kind of, they want to be and model themselves after. So that'd be my biggest thing. If you win, you win, right? I mean, they're capable of beating them, right? Like you said, Bill, we've beaten 2 top 10 teams. On the other side, this is also the kind of game I could see us winning, and that's kind of like the Jekyll and Hyde thing we've been dealing with all season. Like, what kind of team are we going to get? Big game on Fox, last game of the year, a chance to send a message to Purdue, a chance, like you said, Bill. I think every game now is totally jockeying for NCAA seeding. We've been anywhere from 6 to 9 the last few weeks, and like you said, as 5 or 6 seed, it's a lot better than an 8-9. So I want to see 40 minutes of competitive, tough basketball on the road. A designed rotation. I want to see us just grind, and, go in there and see what we can do.
For sure. I want to see the plan for Edey too, like that.
Is there one?
I hope
serious. That dude's huge.
I hope it's not Danger Island again, like the Trace Jackson
tough.
Davis first game. But there's got to be something else. Like, he's just, he's different than your average big guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's 7'4" and averages the most, paint touches in the country, the most free throws in the Big Ten. I'm interested to see that game plan. It just can't be, we'll see what he makes and what he misses.
Great.
I'm interested to see what is Purdue. I haven't watched a ton of Purdue this year. I saw the Purdue Indiana game. What do they do with him defensively? Like, so if I'm a team going against Purdue on the offensive end, like obviously your goal is to get him out of the paint as much as you can, right? Run a bunch of high ball screens and stuff like that.
There in the paint.
Get him away from the basket. But does he just sit there and they just like kind of rotate and switch everything up top?
I think it depends on the matchup. I think he prefers, right, like you said, when he's guarding someone that can't shoot, like a big that can't shoot, like he'll pull right back in front of the rim.
Right.
But I have seen him, like I watched the Penn State game where they tried to put 5 shooters out there, and he did have to chase ball screen. He moves better than most 7'4" guys do. He's not like your typical
most 7'4" guys. How many 7'4" guys do you know, Bill?
Well, I think of like Taco Fall, right, who could play like 5 minutes and then would have to come out, and then you could put him in a ball screen, and like he kind of made him look a little silly. And but he doesn't do, like, he can play the whole game, and he plays pretty normal defense. I don't know. He's
Coleman
a
Hawkins.
tough one to do.
This could be a big game for if we throw him at the 5 a little bit, like they've done the last few games, and he's doing some pick and pop stuff.
I know.
I would tell him going into the game,
sorry, go
catch
ahead.
and shoot, because like you said, nothing to lose, just catch and shoot. If you're open, shoot the ball, let it fly.
Second guessing.
Purdue's role players are much better than they get credit for. Like they're number 1 in the country for a reason, but they really impressed me. Like you watch the game and you're like, oh my gosh, Edey's a load. And then all of a sudden, like throughout the whole entire game, you're like, oh my God, there's a reason like Painter has put this cast together, because if you double on him, like they're going to punish you one way or another. Yeah. So I think if we do go in there and beat them, I think that takes care of the NCAA seeding, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, I think we'll secure even if we lose first place round solo in the Big Ten, which is huge.
Yeah. And I don't think whatever happens in the Big Ten, then if we lay an egg in the our first game, I still think we're not slipping below a 5 or 6 seed by any means if we go in there and win this game. So playing with a little bit of house money. All right, let's transition to Word on Campus, one of our favorite segments. We have a little tidbit from Matthew Meyer that happened over this last few days before the Michigan game. In his media session, Matt Meyer talked about how he's been sick the last few days, so he missed a few days of practice from caffeine poisoning, which I've never heard of. But it's it says Matt Meyer said he drank 5 Monster energy drinks while playing video games on Sunday after the Ohio State game, and this was his first day back at practice before the Michigan game. So the floor is yours, Bill, and then Brandon, I'll let you follow that up.
Yeah. I mean, this is the most asinine thing I think I've ever heard from like an elite level athlete who's looking to go to the next level. To be honest, like I love the kid. I hope he goes to a Sweet 16 and wins a national championship. And he had 9 points in double overtime. So maybe it's like, who fucking cares? But this is one of those things. I checked like 8 different tweets, like to make sure like I wasn't still dreaming. Like he said, like the first tweet I read that said he had 5 Monster energy drinks because he likes to game and in a caffeine-induced euphoric. And I'm thinking to myself, like, first of all, I used to be like a Call of Duty gamer. Like, I'm not judging him for the gaming or anything. Like, that's fine. Like, you got to do something in your free time when you're not balling. But man, like my 7-year-old knows how bad that would be for you. Like, and like Sam said earlier, like it's not like this is a freshman. Like you might expect this out of like a freshman. He's a 5th-year senior, and so I don't know. This is just like I just keep shaking my head. I still can't even believe like first of all, this is the type of thing like if it actually happened, like the type of thing most programs would like keep totally buried down and be like, oh yeah, he was sick, right? But they wouldn't put what he actually did. And then they asked Brad about it, and I'm starting to understand why Brad sometimes like there's been a lot of blurbs that have come out through the whole season that's just like, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. He's got a weird personality. And but like, what is he supposed to do? Right. They ask him after the game. They're like, hey, we heard about this caffeine induced illness from 5 Monster energy drinks. And he's just like, no, like he was really like, no comment, can't make it up basically. Like what is he supposed to say about his star player 2 days before the tournament? I don't know. That's my take on it.
Matt Meyer just came out and said it. He's like, yeah, I had 5 energy drinks.
Oh yeah, he didn't.
Like,
I would have came up with something so much more creative. So much more creative.
People were wearing like Monster energy drink shirts to the game with him like double fisting Monsters.
It's a vibe, bro.
You know what I think this was? It was
a mullet, I guess.
This was a ploy to get a advertisement money from Monster Energy. You know, he's definitely got
you might be right.
something going on, because that entire story, like you said, Bill, is asinine. It makes no sense to me. 5, like, first of all, wait, hold on. 5? Let me tell you something. I don't drink energy drinks. I mean, we all have our bias. You know, we all have what we want to do. Like you said, you got to keep your mind off of it can't be on basketball all times, you know? But like, I just don't understand that. It's wild to me. I don't even have thoughts. I just remember my drink of choice in college was like Red Bull vodkas, and I drank them religiously. And now because of that, I haven't had Red Bull or vodka since my last day at CAMS. You know, the last time I left CAMS in 2013, I was like, yeah, I'm retired from this. So I can only imagine 5, and to have poisoning after that, it's just like, that's wild. But there's something going on. He's getting some bread from Monster for sure. Because I seen before, I didn't even know the story, by the way. I didn't know the story until you guys just told me this right before we got on. I saw a press conference of him with 2 monsters. I was like, oh, he's getting a little monster money, man. It's like a UFC press conference. And I'm like, oh, when did that happen?
He had a presser he was drinking 2 monsters?
No, there was 2 monsters to his side. And I was just like,
he's got something. He
knows
what
wild.
he's doing.
Yeah, I said
that's like a Roger Federer deal.
I said that's wild. Yeah. That's a lot of, like, can you imagine? Like, we used to get in trouble if we got a free sandwich from Quiznos in college, and now these guys are getting Monster advertisement money. I'm not mad at it. I just think the story is, you know, I could have came up with a little bit more creative story than that.
That's funny. But he had 24 and 7, so maybe he's going to drink 5 again, or drinking 5 today or 5 last night. So
he's a bucket, make no mistake.
And if he gets 24 and 7, drink all the Monster you want. It's probably in his Gatorade bottle on the bench.
Yo,
I mean, what about like who's advising him? Like, what are the NBA scouts thinking? Like, he's got a chance to play at the next level, doesn't he? Like,
yeah, with size and weight.
Like, I don't like. For me, this is just like a mind-boggling decision, to tell the truth about this. And like Sam said, like, he came out, he balled out. But at the end of the day, it's like, now anything that happens, right? Like, they've had an up and down. Sam calls it the Jekyll and Hyde. They have, like, he has a slow game, right? And they get beat by Ohio State. Now everyone's going to be thinking, like, did he stay up till 5 a.m. playing Call of Duty last night? Or like, why give people the ammunition? Like, some things you just got to let.
I don't think
lie.
he cares, to be honest.
Bill,
I
I
don't
think he does
seems
either.
like his like vibe is just like whatever. He's out here just hooping.
Bill, what happens if we're standing in the court and somebody walks in and tells Coach McClain or Coach Weber, hey, Bill's not going to make it today because he was playing video games until 5 a.m. and he got caffeine poisoning from Monster. You would get a phone call. You would get a phone call. Hey, Adam is on his way to pick you up. Be outside of your apartment in about 10 minutes, and you're practicing today. They would have been
I think they would make you move. I think they would literally like make you move and get a new room. Like, that's someone that could watch you. Like, that's
for real.
A babysitter?
Honestly, like, Bruce used to go off about video games. Bruce used to go off about video games, and no one even really played them. So like, he'd be like, play that shit when you're dead. It was like stuff that didn't even make sense. She'd be like, he didn't want you to sleep either. He'd be like, sleep and play video games when you die. And you're like, man, I played one game, you know? It's like, it's crazy.
I mean, at the end of the day, they are 18 to 22-year-old kids, right? So there's got to be a little bit of that.
I'm all about him playing video games. Just chill with the monsters. Your heart's going to explode.
So let's talk a little bit about, so Jaden Epps, obviously, you know, the news was he went down early in the week in practice, and then was hospitalized for a little bit, and what they're calling a very, bad concussion. So thoughts and prayers are with Jaden. Hopefully he can get back as soon as he can. But that's something that a player that you need to have down the stretch, right? I mean, I think tomorrow is whatever. It's the last game of the regular season. But you want him fully healthy, ready to go in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, the doctors and stuff will decide, you know, when he's ready to play and he's healthy enough to play without risking anything further to his health. But Jaden's a guy we got to have. I mean, he's had obviously a tremendous freshman year. He's our one true point guard we have on the roster. He can score in bunches. He's shown that he can make big plays down the stretch. He's sealed a few games with some free throws.
A lot of confidence in this game.
Yeah, a lot of confidence, and he's been through a heck of a freshman season and gotten a boatload of experience, especially on the road and in some tough situations. So he's a guy we need.
Yeah, for sure. This is a new day and age with concussions. I think, you know, I had one when I was there. I was like knocked out cold, and I think I played like 2 days later. But we've had some bad luck with them, right? Terrence Shannon just missed one. I think we had someone miss one earlier in the season with one. So this sounds like this one was really bad in order to like spend an overnight in the hospital. So like you said, Sam, it's just unfortunate situation. You don't want to have this at any point in your life, but especially right before you play the number one team in the country and then go to the Big Ten tournament and then go to the NCAA tournament. So timing's really poor, but then you got to, it's always next man up mentality when you have a tough team. That's where, we didn't mention his name, but now is a better time than ever. Luke Goody got in and thought he played his ass off. I think he only had 2 points, but I mean, hey, that was my that's what I built a living on in Illinois, right? And he changed the game. He dove on the floor. He had like 3 or 4 tie-ups for loose balls. That's the type of stuff that's going to take his mind off the shooting. And he's going to, all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's going to make 2 or 3 threes in a big game, right? So I love that. Obviously, we hit on Melendez. So while Epps is out, you got to look to your brothers to pick you up a little bit. I think that's what this team's really good at, and I think they'll be okay until he gets back.
Who's a team, obviously, I looked on the internet, there's like 123 different scenarios or something, like algorithms that could happen for Big Ten tournament seeding or whatnot. But who's a matchup you'd want to see? And who's a matchup you don't want to see in the Big Ten tournament?
I don't want to see Penn State. I mean,
it's true.
We owe them one.
We owe them one, but we've seen it time and time again. When you got a player who's capable of going for 30, 40, high 20s, we've struggled with that. So any team with that kind of like X factor where they kind of are the head of the snake, we haven't figured out how to cut the head of the snake yet. So I don't really want to see guys that have damaged us in the past, to be honest.
Maybe this is getting too creative with the answer, but I do not care if we lose the first game of the Big Ten tournament. Like the last couple of years, we've like gone to the championship game and we've won it. I think that tournament, the Big Ten plays it literally 3 days before you leave for the NCAA tournament. Like we're the last conference to finish, and then the Selection Sunday show is right after the championship game. I think, there's a million different scenarios. Bruce talked about it when he was on, why the Big Ten underperforms the NCAA tournament. I hate the fact that we ask these good teams to play 3 or 4 games in 3 or 4 days, and then we immediately send them to like Portland or something, or San Diego, or to play an opening round game, and we wonder why they look flat. So that's my overly creative answer. But to actually give you a real answer, I think about like the 2I rivalries, right? So Indiana and Iowa. I'd love to, if we're going to go deep, I'd love to get on the opposite side of the bracket and get our rubber match. It's not really a rubber match, but get our third game against Indiana and beat them. And then Iowa as well. It's always nice beating our neighbors to the west.
Yeah, I think Iowa's a tough matchup for us, as evidence. And we've only played them once, and we had to go there, but that'd be a nice rematch. I kind of do want to avoid Northwestern in a sense because they're so good defensively, and we've struggled when teams force us to be stagnant offensively and we can't get out in transition and stuff. So I think we'd struggle versus them. But like we said, there's so many different scenarios. Who knows? And Bill, like you said, frankly, who cares? Might be better for this team not to have to go, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then be completely gassed, especially if they're handing out Monster Energy drinks on the bus and everybody's pounding 5 Monster Energies. Probably doesn't bode well for the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Right.
So anyways, let's wrap it up. Last game of the season tomorrow, like we said, we'd like to see Illinois come out with a full 40-minute effort on both ends of the floor. Bill, you mentioned, I think we're playing with house money. What do we have to lose, right? Obviously, we want to get into that double bye scenario to get some extra rest. But at the same time, Purdue's already clinched. Let's go in there and see what we can do and see if we can get some guys to step up and get some confidence moving forward into next weekend at the Big Ten tourney in Chicago. So both you guys, thanks for joining. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Another episode of Champaign Room Hoops podcast. We are planning to see you guys with another pod midweek next week. And then we actually have a live pod event in Chicago at Over Under Bar in Lincoln Park. So if anybody's in the area in Chicago on Friday, March 10th from 3 to 7 p.m., again, Over Under Bar in Lincoln Park on Halstead in Chicago, sponsored by New Amendment with Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner. Evan will actually be in attendance, and we're going to have every team that has podcasts throughout the season represented there, and we're going to do like a 30-minute live session. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, you two, thanks for joining. Good seeing you guys. We'll catch up with you guys soon.
Beyond the Big Ten is a network of podcasts that aims to be your go-to resource for all things Big Ten. We cover the entire conference with shows hosted by ex-players and athletic alumni, aiming to be your go-to source of information and entertainment for your favorite team. Hosted by ex-Big Ten players, media, and insiders, our podcasts are focused on giving diehard fans and those alums an inside scoop about the teams and people that make the Big Ten Conference one of the most watched and most talked about conferences in sports. We're excited to talk Big Ten basketball with you wherever you may be. Subscribe now.